Why are we called Negroes? Why are we deaf, dumb, and blind? Why is everybody making progress, yet we seem to be lagging so far behind? Why are we mistreated? Why are we in this condition? Stripped of our name, our language, our culture, our God, and our religion. Here in America, all of our religious training has been gotten by the preacher. He has told us of a heaven way up in the sky that we can't enjoy now, but rather after we die.
And here we are once again.
And here we are. I want to first start off in the most holy name of Allah, always bearing witness that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger. I would like to greet you in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum to your
Thursday night talk.
Thursday night talk.
Come on, y'all speak. Thursday night talk.
Thursday night talk. This is your Thursday night
yours.
talk.
And when it's yours, Sister Kalila, what should we do?
You should
Kalila?
always like, share.
This is yours. Copy and paste the URL.
That's right. And you know what, Brother Tony? The beautiful thing about it, I want to thank all the YouTube subscribers. We are rising in YouTube subscribers, and only by Allah's grace. I'm like, okay, YouTube. So all my YouTube followers, keep on liking, keep on sharing. Now y'all making Facebook look a little shady. So
it is shady.
But needless to say, please like, share. This is going to be an excellent topic. I am always a student, but I am going to definitely be a intuitive student today because I don't know a lot. Don't say anything, Brother Tony. But I don't know about a lot about this subject. So with that being said, I am going to be a student. So I am going to actually have my pencil and paper, Brother Mark. I'm going to have my pencil and paper, and I want to study because I want to learn and I want to know. Okay, and knowledge is the key. So with that being said, Brother Tony, I am going to turn it over to you.
All praise is due to Allah. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. I bear witness Muhammad, his messenger and servant. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. Abaragani, Hotep, Buenas noches, Sakpase, Free the Land, Black Power, Brown Power, whatever power. We are in power. Welcome to your Thursday night talks, which is spearheaded by the 7th Region Coalition to Help Save Lives. The 7th Region Coalition to Help Save Lives was assembled by student regional ministers to Minister Patrick Muhammad, soon after the criterion message of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and that took place on July 4th, 2020. Here we are, 5 years later, and going strong.
Ooh.
Beloved family, it is an esteemed honor to serve you, the community. We were, and still are, warning our people about the dangerous experimentations that are taking place out there. in the midst of the pandemic, we were being experimented on, and we're
That's right.
still being experimented on. And today we are guiding our people to safety, guiding our people to right guidance, right knowledge through the 9 ministries given to us by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. These 9 ministries were given to us in the midst of the 2005 Millions More movement. 9 ministries that all serve the purpose of helping us find our purpose in life, which that in itself saves lives. Tonight, we're focusing on the ministry of spiritual development because the eyes through which we're going to be dealing with this topic tonight, we have to lay the base on the spiritual. So, the ministry of spiritual development is the ministry that bears responsibility for assisting the individual member of the community in the process of heeding truth and right guidance, respect, honor, and obedience to the authority of the Creator in all aspects of life, which are essential to peace, harmony, freedom, justice, and equality. In the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, self-development is an absolutely essential component of the microcosm of the new world. It is not enough that we grow horizontally through the acquisition of farms, factories, banks, industry, trade, commerce, money, good homes. Horizontal growth alone is death. All dead things are on a horizontal level. Therefore, we must grow vertically, grow in uprightness, or we will be overcome by our horizontal growth. The foundation of this ministry are study and training units designed on the guidance of Allah God to produce self-examination, self-analysis, self-correction, and to quicken in each of us the self-accusing spirit. For it is only when we are awakened morally that we have to face the self-accusing spirit that leads to our resurrection. So with that, I turn it over to Brother Mark, who will introduce our beautiful and awesome guests this evening. And by the way, special shout out to Sister Felicia, who's just sitting there very patiently. We did not even introduce Sister Felicia. Felicia, back on the program. All praises due to Allah.
Introduce her for what? She is the program.
I know, but I just want to shout it out real quick. Go ahead, Brother Mark. Brother Mark?
Can he hear us?
I don't know. Brother
He must have a delay. He must have a severe delay.
Allah, Master Father Muhammad.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Can you introduce our illustrious guest, please?
Uh-oh.
He said, "Uh-oh."
Okay.
Can you hear us, beloved? Is your Wi-Fi on?
Okay. All right. Let's start off. Let's start off with Student Minister Abel Muhammad. Student Minister Abel Muhammad has a unique insight into the issues of the Latin American community. Having served as director of Centro Sin Fronteras Immigrant Legal Assistance Program, Federal Affairs Administration's voter education campaigns, and traveling to Cuba with Reverend Lucius Walker and Pastors for Peace, delivering medical and educational supplies. Student Minister Abel was also a part of the campaign to free Puerto Rican political prisoner Oscar Lopez Rivera. He has spoken at churches, mosques, universities, community gatherings, and numerous panels about the need for the unity of oppressed people and the demand for Social Justice. Coordinating outreach, student minister Abel helped organize Latin American participation in the Million Family March in 2000 and the Millions More movement in 2005. He helped organize Latin American and Native peoples' participation in the Justice or Else March that occurred October the 10th, 2015 in Washington, D.C., and spoke to the hundreds of thousands gathered on that day. Student Minister Abel Muhammad currently serves as representative of the Latin American community for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam, and is based at Mas Mariam in Chicago, Illinois. He has been married for 24 years and has 4 beautiful children with his lovely wife, Ayana. Let us bring on to Thursday Night Talk stage, brother, student, minister, Abel Muhammad.
Praise be to Allah. Assalamu alaikum. It's good to see everyone.
And
good to see
we
you
have
all.
one more guest to bring up before we begin. Wonderful to see you, dear brother. So we have one more guest, and that guest is brother David Jamil Muhammad. And he has received awards for his outstanding community work from numerous Black and Latino civic organizations. As a founder of Hip Hop Generation, Hip Hop as a Movement at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where he was a student. Brother David Jamil Muhammad organized conferences that have been regarded to date as the largest college hip-hop events in the country. In 2002, he was recognized for his work in the Active Element Foundation's book, The Future 500, which featured him as one of the top 25 activists under 25. He has served as student protocol director, student assistant minister, and today as student captain at Muhammad Mosque number 3 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He is currently working on a book documenting the presence of Latinos in the theology and history of the Nation of Islam. Let us bring on to the stage our dear brother, Brother David Muhammad. Allahu Akbar. Welcome, dear brother.
Allahu Akbar. Listen, like you said, as me growing up in the South, we are this really, and I think this is going to be a beautiful conversation and a beautiful far side chat, because a lot of I'm just going to be honest, a lot of Black people really don't know the origin of the Latino community. So we pick up these really far-fetched names to represent our people, which are the original people. And I'm glad that this is taking place, because the education is really needed. And I think that, like I said, I am going to be a student. I'm going to be a very inquisitive student, because I really want to know. The more I know, the more I will get to understand why it is that we have been separated for so long, but it was by design. But we're going to close the gap today.
That's right.
I think that this is a beautiful segue of closing that gap. And again, Brother Tony, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you.
All praise due to Allah. These two brothers, Student Minister Abel and Student Captain David, are very dear to my heart, as all of you are. But these are my brothers who, oftentimes we have huddle up sessions on organizing and how to organize and mobilize when it comes down to teaching our people, not just that are Latino or of quote unquote Hispanic backgrounds, but I mean, all of us that may be distinct in cultural background in the Nation of Islam. Um, so we're going to begin with this question, my beloved brothers. Latinos as registered members of the Nation of Islam. A lot of us that don't know the history may believe that it is a new thing, and it truly is not a new thing. Can you both give us a brief history of registered members of the Nation of Islam of Latin American backgrounds? Um, Student Captain David, if I could begin with you.
Yes, sir. Um, First off, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the witness that there's no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Well,
Walaikum
It is
salam.
an honor to be on the line with the seventh region in the nation and our guests and friends and families and viewers. To the question you asked, is this a new thing?
come on.
I think it's important to recognize that Allah functions off of his own good time,
Mm.
and things function in accord with God's timing. But in everything at its inception, it is complete yet incomplete. And so, in the beginning of the work of Master Farad Muhammad here in the wilderness of North America, he gave 10 questions and answers to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that every student in the Nation of Islam is to answer and recite. And the third of those is, what is the population of the original nation in the wilderness of North America and all over the planet Earth? And the answer is that the population of the original nation in the wilderness of North America is 17 million, with the 2 million Indians makes it 19 million, and all over the planet Earth is 4,400,000,000. In the answer is a global mission
Mm.
for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and for those who accept him as Allah's servant, and really much more than a messenger. We now understand him to be the exalted Christ. And so there's a messianic work in just that answer. But at the time that that answer was given, a work was beginning in Detroit, Michigan with Black people in America. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was guided by Master Farad Muhammad at phases and stages of his work to expand, to do relationship building and exchange with those who are called Native Americans, which are mentioned in that lesson that I recited. And at another time, he moved a portion of his family to Mexico and established it as his home in a certain phase of his work.
Yes,
In
sir.
1933, there was a letter sent to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad guiding his movement in the Midwest. But it was written by Master Farad Muhammad and sent to him from the southwest part of North America. Well, the southwest part of North America could be Arizona, could be Texas, could be Southern California, could be Mexico. We have been told by some of the family that some of the lessons were sent from Mexico, including English lesson C1.
Mm.
And so there's a connection there in the movement of Master Farad Muhammad in guiding his student, that at a certain point there would be a union of the red and the so-called Latino. So when we're taught with the 2 million Indians, that with means on a journey together. That
Mm.
two, one of the meanings does refer to two types of Indians, one who is called a Native American and another who might be in denial and might not know he's indigenous, or might not know that he is a mixture of the Black, the indigenous, and the Spaniard, and that it is this union that will help secure them safely on the other side of the fall of this world, which is the kingdom of God. So I just wanted to lay that out. And
Yes, sir.
to the question also about, is this a new thing? I'm gonna hold up a book. I'm not saying that you have to buy it or read it, but this book is Down These Mean Streets. And it was
Yes.
published in 1967 by a famous Puerto Rican author named Piri Thomas.
Yes, sir, beloved.
And in this book, he talks about a Puerto Rican member of the Nation of Islam. So there's many instances, there's others I could mention. During the time of Master Farad Muhammad, there was a sister by the name of Sister Mary Almanza, who was married to a Mexican brother who came into contact after his wife became a teacher at Muhammad University of Islam and a follower of Master Farad Muhammad. He was of Mexican descent. And because he saw the work that Master Farad Muhammad was doing with the black man of America, he allowed him to do that work without trying to interfere, and did not come into the temple at that time, even after the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told him he could, either in the late 40s or early 50s. And in the 50s, in some cities of the Nation of Islam, you had some on the West Coast with Mexicans joining in the temple, some on the East Coast with Puerto Ricans joining in the temples. And so there is a expansion of the breast, as we read in the 20th chapter of the Holy Quran. And in that expansion of the breast is an expansion of an explanation of how this teaching relates to those who have been under the foot of white supremacy and are in need of the knowledge of self as well. And so we'll get into more of that hopefully in the conversation tonight.
Hey, you just be to Allah.
Praise
Oh,
be to
wow.
Allah.
Student Minister Abel,
Excellent.
do you have anything to add in regards?
No, I think just to echo what Brother Student Captain David was saying right now, there is something to consider when we're using these terms, Latino, Hispanic, even if we get into nationalistic terms, Puerto Rican, Cuban, Mexican, Venezuelan, in our teachings as given to us by Master Farad Muhammad, under the guidance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we don't speak of those distinctions as such in the mosque. So even though we may have, and there is a history where under the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in New York City, we had a Spanish-speaking mosque in the 70s. But it was not called the Latino mosque,
Right.
or the Hispanic mosque.
Right.
It was the Spanish-speaking mosque of the Nation of Islam. And it was teaching the teachings to the original people who happened to speak Spanish.
That's right.
Yes,
Now, in the modern lexicon that we have today, which is really part and parcel of the enemy's system that creates more division and confusion amongst people, we have now terms like Latinx and Latino and all Latina, and there's just all of these terms and sub-terms for other categories that some, I'm sure, possibly well-intentioned academics someplace presented into the community for funding purposes or whatnot. But in the neighborhood, nobody's walking down in Little Village in Chicago or on the South Side in Milwaukee calling themselves Latinx.
Right.
And barely any on college campuses are calling
Right.
themselves that. But it further helps to confuse and make it seem that this is some unique new group. When back, if you look at the history of the Nation of Islam, we had our brother, may Allah be pleased with him, Eddie Palmieri,
That's right.
who just passed away, the great musician.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I remember seeing his name on a flyer
Mm.
for Black Family Day
That's right.
Mm.
That's right.
that he played on that venue with who was it, Machito and so many
Yes.
other great
Celia
Latino
Cruz.
quote unquote
Yes, sir.
musicians. Why would they perform at Black Family Day if they saw themselves as something other than black? There has been, since the 70s in particular, an effort by the enemy to divide us. We were united under the umbrella of blackness because black is not regional, it's not national, it's not local, it's universal.
That's right.
So there's black people in Mexico. There's black people in Puerto Rico. There's black
That's
people
right.
in Cuba. Everywhere you go in the Western Hemisphere, there's black people. But we who are in the United States think that because we don't even know how we got here. So when we see other black people speaking a different language, we think they're foreign from us.
Right.
Come on.
When
Come on.
in fact, they're part of our kith and kin. So we have had, going like Brother Student Captain David said, back into the 50s, at least that we know for sure, that I've met personally on the West Coast in California, Mexican brothers, Manuel, Emmanuel, We had Brother Henry out there. We had our brother who became the imam. His name is escaping me right now. Perez was his last name.
Benjamin
Benjamin.
Perez, yeah.
Benjamin. We
Muhammad.
had Minister Emmanuel X,
Right.
who was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's minister in East LA and in Mexico. And
Yes,
they
sir.
wrote about him, and there's pictures of him sitting next to Muhammad Ali at a Savior's Day 1964, I want to say it was.
68.
All of this is part of our history, but he wasn't, quote unquote, some token Mexican minister. He was a representative of the life-giving teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, given to us and revealed to us by Master Fard Muhammad.
That's right.
And
Yes,
the
sir.
temple in New York, all of these things are so rich. It's not in a book, which we don't read anyway, so it doesn't matter. So we just waste it in a book.
That's right.
But we've taken on the coloring of our enemy now, where it seems like if it's not some academic who has quoted it and published it, then it's not real to us. We have the oral history, which has always been our tradition as original people of the earth.
That's right.
But what has happened is the enemy has made the nation of Islam separate from everything else. They've colored us with a brush that makes it seem like we are not part of that era of struggle of the original people on the earth called the Black Power movement. Because if there had been no Black Power movement, there would have been no Young Lords. There would have been no Brown
My
Berets.
brother got a powerful point there too.
All of that comes from the same origin. And the reason we have confusion today, and it's nothing for us to feel bad about, Sister Kalila or Brother Tony or anyone else, where would we have this information from? That's why Allah had to give us another teacher, another warner, another guide in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because we didn't know and we didn't recognize the man that God had raised for us in the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
And when he was off scene, now we needed somebody to reprove and remind and restore us and resuscitate us and resurrect us. And now the enemy said, oh, sure, we'll hand pick for you the ones you can know. You can know Malcolm X. You can know, Cesar Chavez. But don't ever really tie them and tell the people that both of them loved Muhammad at some point in their life.
That's right. Come on,
Don't
beloved.
show them the pictures of the FOI at the Farm Workers Union rally with Cesar Chavez, and they're speaking, and Cesar Chavez is holding message to the black man. He's holding up Muhammad Speaks newspaper. He said, when they started printing their own publications, I want to do it like the Muslims.
That's right.
See, they don't want us. You can have Malcolm, you can have Cesar, you can have all of these people. Just don't show the people that they were all inspired by this man and this teaching. And we're all guilty today of being hoodwinked and bamboozled by the same enemy. That's why this conversation is so important. It's not about religiosity. It's about truth, so that we can see ourselves properly. And once we see ourselves properly, then we can properly view one another as what we really are, which is brothers and sisters of one another.
Beautiful teaching.
Praises be to Allah. Wow. I'm learning something every day. I mean, this is very impactful to me, and I thank you all. Now, I know that a lot of there has been a movement. It's been a very silent movement, but there has been a movement, and it is called the Latino Freeze. I don't know if either one of you have heard of this movement, but just want to ask, did anyone of you heard of the Latino Freeze? I can start with you, Brother Abel.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I don't personally know anyone here in the Chicago area or in the Midwest who's involved with it. What I know of it has been just through social media, and I know they had some success in the West. I'm not sure what city it was, but it is sort of a a sister or brotherly movement of protest, in particular focused on some of these corporations, and Target being the target
Right.
Right.
of the boycott of the movement to do away with the DEI, initiatives after President Trump had basically frowned on such activity, and Target making a move to remove any DEI efforts that they had, and removing Black vendors and things that were providing goods and selling them through Target. And this was a response by Black and Latino communities, because it was not just Black vendors, it was Latino and other
Exactly.
people. I would always be surprised to walk into Target from time to time and you'd see this shirt that said "Black is beautiful." And I was like,
Right.
"What Target doing
Right.
this last year?" You know, it was just
Juneteenth.
yeah, and
Right.
it was very Latino. And for my girls in particular, several years ago, there were certain summer dresses and such that looked very, very much like indigenous prints from Mexico and other areas. So, and even from Africa, they had African prints made by
Right.
Black vendors. So they had done that for a while, and they stopped almost instantly once the DEI initiatives were frowned upon and revoked on a federal level. And this was the response of some of the Black and Latino organizations as a form of protest
Right.
against them. You know, it didn't gain, as far as I know here, a lot of support, though there are people who individually have withdrawn their funds. And I know, looking at the reports economically, it has had some impact, it appears, on
Right.
Target, as well, the Target being almost always the main focus. But I think it's important to note that more than a freeze, it's probably best that we do what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said.
Come on.
Not only freeze and spending money with others, but let's focus on doing for self and supporting our own.
That's right.
And I've been looking for it, and I may just have to be us that does it. I know that there are things like a Modern Green Book where people are listing Black-owned businesses that can be supported online or in different cities. But I think we might need to do a because they call it the Green Book. We might have to do a Red and Green Book that supports all of the original people, so that you know what businesses are friendly and owned by so-called Latinos, so-called Black people, so-called indigenous people, that we can support our own and do for ourselves. Because if we did that, we could see that we can't exist without our open enemy, but we would have to do it in a collective and organized manner.
Right.
And maybe it's time for that now, because there's enough professionals, there's enough workers, there's enough qualified people in every area where we should freeze giving our money to our enemy.
That's right.
But
That's
we still
right.
need goods and services. So that's
right.
good to freeze, but we might freeze ourselves, and if we're not following that up with doing for ourselves.
Right.
So I think there always has to be a component of our protest that isn't begging to be allowed into their way and system. We
Right.
always have to have the focus of withdrawing, and where we can, let's supply goods and services for our own.
Praises be to Allah. Brother David,
Yes, ma'am.
the same question. If you know anything about this particular topic.
Well, I know that there have been movements to have such things as a day without Latinos, or an extraction of labor and spending from an economy that mistreats and abuses the people, or a government that does that and uses funds from the people to do such things. I think that's wise. I think there's a lot that can be learned. I think in the Latino community, you see a great deal of economic development. And wherever they establish a community, you see their type of diet, as well as institutions come up, as well as other types of economic power. They have less political representation than Black people in America, where we are overrepresented in the politics of this society and underrepresented in the economic control of the community. And I think there's a learning that could be done. And if the two would unite and advocate and do what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has taught us. He taught us this with Justice or Else and the move for economic withdrawal. He taught us this with the Me and Man March, where we're approaching the 30th anniversary of. And it's interesting that in 1996, there was a day without Latinos right after the Million Man March. And so things
Mm.
Oh yeah.
always start in that type of vein of letting the society know the value of our contribution by our absence. We have to build that reality for ourselves. I'll give a quick example. In one street in Milwaukee that is a predominantly Latino business district, they generate over $95 million. And so those types of things come when people have a sense of self, a sense of identity, and a sense of cohesion. It is very difficult to build that in our community when you have predatory people. However, that is not the case where Latinos find proximity to Black people from America. And so there is an opportunity here to find a way out of this condition together if we could come to some mutual agreement and recognize that we have a mutual origin in the originator.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you so
Praise
much,
be to
brother.
Allah. Well, dear brothers, I just have a question based on maybe you know, or maybe you heard, or just have a view on this question. Why do you think this was mentioned? I think earlier by brother student Captain David. Why do you think the Honorable Elijah Muhammad placed a part of his family in Mexico?
Oh, brother, I could say a lot of things on that. I know that we were promised gardens wherein
Good.
rivers flow. All
Mm.
right,
Mhm.
and no one comes to America for the weather. All right. There are many
Humble us.
parts of the earth that are beautiful and would be made a safe zone for us at certain times. And I think there's great wisdom in looking at that movement of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his family there. And it's something, it's at a time like this in the world where we're being made to feel so insecure, we start to look insular and think that the only people we have are right here in this country. Yet the whole
Mm.
mission and work of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad was to prepare us to fly into the arms of our people all over the planet. In fact, we were
Mm.
taught that we have our likeness in every part of the planet, and
That's
that we
right.
are to be prepared and be redeemed, restored, and refined so that we could sit on top of civilization and be the best with civilized society. And
Mm.
so it's very unfortunate to see many of us think that our only promised land is here when the
Mm.
earth belongs to the righteous.
Come on.
Mm,
Praises be to
mm.
Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
And I would just add, that
Brother Abel?
in,
Yeah.
yes, and I would add in Mexico, we have not only the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but the Honorable Minister Louis
Mr. Louis
Farrakhan
Farrakhan,
That's
that's
right.
right.
has raised part of his family there as well. And we have the blessing of part of the lineage of the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who is the national assistant to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Minister Ishmael
That's
Muhammad,
right.
was raised there
Mhm.
in Mexico. His family, his brothers, and mother Taineta Muhammad, his beloved mother, may Allah be pleased with her forever. And she has given us so much insight into the connections that are found between the original people, Black people, here and in Mexico, a history that was hidden not only from Black people, but hidden from the Mexican people as well.
That's
Mm.
right.
My beloved.
And so it was buried, and it was in the Muhammad Speaks newspaper when those
That's
great
right.
Olmec heads were discovered in Mexico. It was in Muhammad Speaks newspaper,
That's
the
right.
proof of the Black man's presence. Not Black in terms of ethnic,
Mm. Mm.
Black in terms of original.
Mm.
There has always been tribes, for the Holy Quran tells us that Allah made us into tribes and families that we may know one another. So the very diversity of people that has always existed, be it that we all came from one originator, but as soon as there was enough, we divided. We were
Mm.
divided
Mhm.
and sent forth across the planet. How else could we know every square inch of it if we didn't go and study every square inch of it?
Come on. Come
Try to
Come
on.
on.
live on it, experiment on it. How could we determine what the best part of the planet is?
Come on,
Mm.
teach.
Unless we had gone to other parts and now we can make a comparison and say, oh no, this is better here. We've been
Yeah.
original people. You can't limit us to one area. We can focus on civilizations building and being sustained in certain areas, but we keep trying to look at our almost infinite. When you're talking about 76 trillion years, it's hard to measure that. So it's an almost infinite history through the lens of a people who've only been here less than 6 seconds on the timeline of history.
That's right.
And so the problem is we keep trying to look at it, but we're using a lens which doesn't properly view reality. And because of that, we get bogged down, confused, disappointed,
right,
all mixed up. And then we become emotional. We dig our heels into what we think, what we believe, what we think we found on YouTube that we're just so sure about. What we saw Dr. this or Mama that or Chief so-and-so, and because they had a vision and they whatever, that's fine. That's good. I'm not trying to mock any of them.
Right.
But if they're so full of wisdom, where is their work? The most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan have a work amongst all people that is unparalleled, even the Caucasian.
Right. Even the Caucasian.
I have had the blessing, and I believe Student Captain David was with me when we went to officiate the burial of the great Chicano. He would call himself Indo-Hispano, which means indigenous and Hispanic leader, Reyes Tijerina, who was a great friend of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan from Texas.
Yes, sir.
And we got to meet some of the other great activists from the Mexican and at that time they called themselves La Raza, El Partido de la Raza, which was the Chicano and Mexican pride and Latino American at that time movement. And we got the chance to meet some of them, and they told us that they were inspired. Their initial awakening was from hearing Malcolm X, from reading the articles of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This is back in the 60s and the 50s. Who knew that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is at the root of the Chicano movement?
That's right.
Who knew that here in Chicago, I've got it, and he said it publicly, so I'll say it publicly. Dr. Jose Lopez, who is he's a great Puerto Rican leader, and if you want to hear the brilliance of our brother, go look at the Holy Day of Atonement 1997 from the UIC Pavilion in Chicago, Illinois. He shares words with our great Mexican sister, Chicana, Reverend Emma Lozano, before the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan speaks, and he gives the history. He supposedly, I heard, I'm not even going to say it because I don't believe it, so never mind. I'm just going to let you hear him for yourself. Go back and look that up when you get a chance. 1997 Day of Atonement, UIC Pavilion. But I heard him saying he said it in the public before. As he was a young boy in Humboldt Park, a Puerto Rican community here in Chicago, him and his brother, there was a black brother who would come by with the Muhammad Speaks newspaper. And he would come to their house every Saturday with the paper, and they would have like a study circle about what the articles were in that paper. And it was from that paper and reading the Muslim program that he became a fighter for justice for the Puerto Rican people.
That's right.
And their desire to be an independent nation. Who knows what kind of man is this? What kind of teaching is this? That you can go into the heart of the Mexican movement, go into the heart of the Puerto Rican movement. And when you look past the rubble and the lies and the omissions of the enemy, you find one man at the heart of it, Elijah Muhammad. That's to show us why and who he really is. He's not a man just for black people. His message was first and primarily for the black man in America. But if it was only for them, why would he go and deposit a part of his family in Mexico? I was blessed to hear his son say that when he got there, he was in tears saying, I made it. I finally made it to Mexico.
Wow.
Crazy.
Think about that. A man who undoubtedly loved black people. And if you hear some of his table talks,
Right.
he's talking about going into Panama. He's talking about
right.
going into the Caribbean and other parts of Latin America. And he talks
That's right.
about being like a trumpet or a cone going out from Central and South America to the rest of this hemisphere, and then ultimately all the way across the water back to our black brothers and sisters in Africa. Because all of us need the truth and this message. And so if you get to Mexico and you can detangle the mess of what identity has become there, where this is a people like the rest of Latin America that is mixed with black from Africa, black from the original indigenous people who were here, and then even the Europeans who came.
Right.
That particular strain from Spain that populated this part has quite a bit of black impressed upon it.
That's right.
Because of the Moors and their cultural and linguistic and Islamic influence for almost 7 centuries on the Spanish people and the Portuguese people. And that's all you have in this hemisphere. You have light black, medium black, and dark black.
Right.
Mixed together. Thinking that is one black better than another black?
Come on, boy.
Come on.
But because the enemy had made themselves the standard and the defining point for us of our identity, the lighter we were, we felt better about ourselves. The darker we were, we felt worse about ourselves.
Right.
The term Latino, the term Hispanic forces our whole people in this hemisphere to take their origin, not from God, but from European conquerors. The term American, Native American. How could we be Native Americans when we were here before America existed?
Right, right.
How could you be African American when you were here and you existed before Africa and America existed? So all of this is a tool of the enemy to make us think that our little flag, our little patch of land that we're so proud of, a little island here, a little 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 year, 7, let's say you go back 10,000 years. What is 10,000 years to a trillions and trillions of years of our people's existence?
Ooh, come on.
That part.
What is the point of taking pride in a flag that is soaked in the blood of our ancestors?
Come on.
When God has come to give us that which predates all of that suffering. And if we would accept it, it would bring us back to ourselves and raise us to the top, not based on some language or nationality or ethnicity or patch of dirt that we were born under or upon, but it would give us our rightful place based off not even just our genetics and where we can originate from, but once we know who we are, then we can start to accept who we are and be ourselves. And when you know you are from God and of God, who would not want to start to act and be like God?
That's right.
Come on, that part.
That's what we are being welcomed into, and that's why the enemy drastically is working and emphatically is trying to keep the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's message from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad out of the ears of the black, the brown, the red, the yellow, the white, the young, the old. This part, English, Spanish, they don't want the truth to get into our ears, because right here you're looking at, just on this screen, the fullness of the mission of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, where every human being has the right to hear the truth. And so, of course, if you go into Mexico and you can make sense out of that mess and confusion, which exists in Puerto Rico, it exists in Cuba, it exists in Guatemala, if you can change the people and correct their thinking and their self-identification, not to be rooted in rape by colonizers, but to be rooted in the magnificence of knowing that you are from the originator and creator of the heavens and the earth, then that will cleanse us and purify and it will transform our mind so that we don't have to conform to this world, so we can be something new and something better. And what place better than Mexico,
Mm.
the hidden
That's right.
secret part of the moon,
Yes, sir.
Teach,
the
teach.
place
Mom,
where
beloved.
all of the people are mixed, and the people there in Mexico, they like to refer to themselves. There's this really wicked motive perception that they started identifying as the bronze people,
Mm.
a new people, a new race made by the mixing of all the other races. There was wickedness in that intention to negate blackness.
Right.
But let's take
Right.
it, because the man who came to teach us was mixed black with white,
Come on.
Mm. That's
Yeah.
right.
and he looks like he could
Yeah.
fit right into that area,
That's right. That's
as
right.
most of this hemisphere does nowadays.
That's right.
Right.
This message gets rid of confusion.
That's
This
right.
message is not a message to make you feel just better artificially because you didn't like your hair and somebody told you, but your hair is better. You didn't like your skin. Oh, that's so weak
Mm.
to make God so superficial. No, he came with the truth,
That's right.
and the truth is sufficient. If you don't feel better knowing that you come from God and you're the first people and the people of his choice, I don't know what's going to help you and I
Right.
then. And everyone has the right to know that.
Yeah.
He
That's
happened
right.
to pick the
That's
black
right.
man and woman of America. All right.
Right.
My parents are from Mexico. Brother David's are from Puerto Rico. Brother Tony's is from Cuba. Does that mean his message does not have a place in us? Then why go to Mexico? Why tell us to study Spanish? Why did he want the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to establish a school in Mexico?
That's
A
right.
school is a place people go to learn.
That's
Right.
right. That's right.
All people must know the truth and then accept the truth. And once we know the truth and accept the truth, we can be
Ourselves.
ourselves. The Mexican
Ourselves.
has to know,
That's
Puerto
right.
Rican, Cuban, black man in America. Hey, there's people in Canada that are black. You know that, right?
Right.
Right.
There's some
Right.
blacks in
That's
Alaska.
right.
You know that, right?
That's
There's
right.
some
Yeah,
blacks
yeah,
in
yeah.
Russia. There's some blacks in China and Japan.
Yeah.
This is not some little church teaching, some
Right.
little small group. This is the truth from God for the planet. We just
Yes.
happen to be blessed to be where he started, but it's not where he was finished at. It is just the beginning. And 95 years in, we're blessed to now see the outgrowth and the culture of what Master Fard Muhammad established for us and for the rest of our people all over the planet.
Wow.
My. Praise be to Allah. So I don't have to ask my question. No, I'm just kidding. We want to build. We want to keep building on that, and we would definitely would like you, Brother David, to provide us with some of your personal experience relative to the human and civil rights leaders and freedom fighters who have been touched by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the honorable Louis Farrakhan, and what have they taught you?
Praise be to Allah. Just want to make sure you all can hear me okay. I had to
We
join from my
can.
phone.
Yes.
Okay, good. So in my experience, I came into the knowledge of self from my father, who did not accept the teachings, but he was exposed to them in New York City as a part of the Young Lords. And the Young Lords was the Puerto Rican offshoot of the Black Panther Party. My mother was of the Puerto Rican independence movement. And so the message of separation and independence spoke to me immediately. The message of knowledge of self spoke to me immediately. The movement led by the leader of the Puerto Rican independence movement, Pedro Albizu Campos, he was a Black man who learned that we would not have a future as a people in the island of Puerto Rico as a part of America because of how they treated Black people in America. And so there was a reality of that knowledge that I was primed for when I really believe I was born to accept this teaching and accept this work. So I came into the nation very early on. I think I was 14 years old in Milwaukee. And I was told when I first joined to really kind of go into the knowledge of my people and my history. And when you study the history of our people enslaved in the Western Hemisphere, you find that the first slave revolts were Muslims. in the
Right.
Dominican Republic, in Puerto Rico,
Yes, sir.
in the Caribbean. You see the history of Haiti, and you see Bookman. You
That's
see the Wolofs in the what is the more Spanish speaking side of Hispaniola, the Dominican Republic. You see them in Puerto Rico, and it was at that point in the early 1500s that the King of Spain said, "Don't bring any more Muslims because they fight back." And
right.
so, while and everyone has a history of fighting back, but there's an organizing and a militating principle in Islam. Malcolm X used to say that Islam brings about the natural militancy and the militant propensity in the black man. And
Mhm.
so that as a point that is a rallying point for the black man is one for myself culturally. As Brother Abel talked about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's work in New York and the history of Black Family Day, you see a work where the minister's ministry is one reaching out to the whole of the diaspora. Here's a man whose mother is from St. Kitts, his father is from Jamaica, he's a son of the Caribbean and looks it easily could pass for any of us in a Spanish speaking country.
Right.
And in his heart is love for the Black and the so called Latino. That event, Black Family Day, was inspired by an experience he had seeing a Black and a Puerto Rican brother fight on the bus in New York and how it caused him so much pain. He wanted to unite the Black family. It put
Mm.
something in his heart to do that. And so I saw much of what inspired me through the liberation movements of my people. I saw the promise of that in the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the fulfillment of that. Because at the root, our problem is more spiritual than it is political.
Mm.
So there, I could go on and on. One example I'll give is, as I mentioned, my family comes from a family of members of the Puerto Rican independence movement. There was a man named Don Rafael Cansar Miranda, who was a Puerto Rican nationalist who was imprisoned for 25 years.
Mm.
And while he was in Florida in prison, actually,
Yes, sir.
he was protected by the Muslims. And it
Mm.
was the Muslims who kept him from being brutalized by government forces in those institutions. And he spoke so highly when Brother Abel and I interacted with him and visited with him on several occasions of the Nation of Islam, and how when I went to visit him in Puerto Rico, he brought out pictures of him speaking in the meetings that they would have in the prison in tribute to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and how much he loved the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and how strong it made us. I've had encounters with people like Felipe Luciano, who was a member of the Young Lords and one of the last poets, and he talked about his relationship with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And when I had the opportunity to briefly meet with and speak with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he talked about his relationship with Felipe Luciano and those other members of the cultural movement in Harlem and in New York as he was building back the mosque after it had been attacked and after the assassination of Malcolm, and how important those people were to that rebuilding effort. And so
Peace.
there's a great deal of history that exists in the nation. Brother Abel mentioned Cesar Chavez. My father was also a labor organizer who worked with Cesar Chavez, and I had the
Mm.
privilege of meeting with him as a young man. But
Wow.
I did not know that he was once in encounter with the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, so much so that he said we have to do it like the Muslims and put
Mm.
our people in the streets and hand to hand and explaining the cause to the people. I didn't know that he was being taught and encouraged by Brother Benjamin X, who was on the West Coast, and how they would take him, and how Askia Muhammad, the former editor of Muhammad Speaks, met with Cesar Chavez, and how he was in the Muhammad Speaks. All of these things, these social justice movements were spoken about, written about in the Muhammad Speaks and in the Final Call newspaper.
Yes,
And you
sir.
see that in the work of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We are not a narrow minded group or movement of people. We are a people that can bring about a healing from the sickness of white supremacy, from rebellion to the will and the way of God, which is our nature. And that's what the enemy wants to alter. And we can also see the struggle for other oppressed people and see our own struggle in it when we properly understand who we are and why God came to North America to free us from our former slave masters.
Praise be to
Thank you.
Allah.
Thank you.
All
Thank you.
praise is due to Allah. Excellent, excellent.
May I just add one
Well,
more thing? And I know it was a little bit
Yes,
yes,
longer.
yes,
absolutely.
It's beautiful when Mother Tynetta asked the Honorable Elijah Muhammad what we would teach the Mexicans. He said the same teaching that I gave to you.
That's
When she
right.
asked him a second time, he said the lessons. We're given a lesson that talks about a lion in the cage walking back and forth, and the cage is 3,000 by 2,000 miles. And that
uh-huh.
cage, it took him 4 centuries to find the door, and there's 17 million keys.
Mm.
Well, if we're looking for a way to open the door, and we're in a cage that's 3,000 by 2,000 miles, where will that door take us to? It takes us out of a state of confinement
Right.
into a new reality of freedom, justice, and equality. That's the literal width and length of the border of the United States. So when you ask the question about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad going into Mexico, there's
Come on.
something about our relationship with those people. We're given
Right.
another lesson. Excuse me a minute, where we're taught about why did we let half original man Columbus discover the poor part of the planet Earth,
Mm-hmm.
and how we knew every square inch of the earth and preserved the best part for ourselves. And that the best part was in Arabia at the holy city Mecca, and that Arabia is in the far east and is bordered by the Indian Ocean on the south. Well, if Mecca is where knowledge and wisdom of the original man first began, we could look to the Mecca in the east, but we know that knowledge and wisdom in this dispensation began in Detroit. And we know
Yeah.
that the best part, even the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about this. He said the land of Africa, that's old land. That's been worn over for so long. This is virgin territory here in the United States. And so this is a best part, if we properly understand, with a original man who is starting knowledge and wisdom in this part, in this dispensation of time, and bordered by the Indian Ocean on the south. It's not the Indian Ocean, but it's an ocean of Indians from south of the border all the way to Argentina, if we properly understand.
Come on, bro.
Mm.
Well, all
Man.
right.
Oh, this is
Beautiful,
beautiful.
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Well, praise be to Allah. Dear brothers,
Pull out my voice.
you know, the word etymology is the study of the origin of words and the way in which their meanings have changed throughout history. Please explain the etymology of the word Latino and why is it used?
You want me to go on that one, Brother Abel?
Yeah, I'll just say this real quick. You know,
Go ahead.
it comes, the root of it is from Latium
Right.
and the Roman Empire
Right.
and the Romance languages.
Right.
So it has to do with the old world of
Right.
Europe in particular.
Right.
I see.
And we have to remember that when Columbus came, he came on behalf of the crown and the cross.
Mm.
So you have to remember that there is a hidden agenda that was there
Right.
in the establishing of what they call the New World. So when you look at it today, when you use the term Latino, it's short and it's really only used in the United States.
Mm.
People in Mexico, the Caribbean, Latin America, they don't call themselves Latino.
No.
They will use the longer term Latin American more than they would use Latino. Here they use the term Latino and it's shorthand, and the assumption is that they're speaking about Latin America. But we never stop to wonder, how did America get Romanized with the term Latin?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And it's tied to the Roman Catholic Church.
That's right.
Wow.
and the papal bulls that they're called,
Mm.
that were written, that basically it was the Pope saying, hey, anything you discover over there, because you're going on behalf of the church, it is belong to the church, and the church will then give you permission to use certain lands and bring in certain things, as long as you give also certain things to the church. So they were here, quote unquote, searching for souls and gold.
Mm.
They were here searching
Souls.
for spices and materials they could use and people they could use.
Yes, sir.
So people may not realize, before the black man was brought from the east to the west, there were natives that were being taken out of the west back to the east into Europe
Mm.
Yes, sir.
to be slaves and put on display in Europe.
Yes, sir.
Mm.
They tried to, and were only successful to the degree of making them slaves here in North America, to work the fields and things that they now felt they possessed, based on the church, meaning, quote unquote, on their, from their vantage point, God giving them the right to replenish the earth wherever they touched it. But they just didn't want to be the ones who labored. And this is also tied to the Hamitic curse,
Go ahead.
where they saw all of the darker people,
That's right.
not just the people of Africa. All of the darker people were seen as part of the lineage of Ham,
Right.
the son of Noah, and were cursed to be then servants of theirs. So when they
Yes,
came
sir.
and found the darker people here, they said, oh, God has blessed us. He's given us workers.
Mm.
And look at how all of this area, this is the hidden undergirding of what was done here. But because this was the land that had been populated for millennia by the indigenous people, they were able to outmaneuver in many instances the Europeans and just get away from them when possible. So
Right.
they had to go and get someone else to work the land for them. And that's what helped to spur the transatlantic slave trade.
That's right.
And so there's a hidden history that we don't even realize what happened.
Yes,
You
sir.
have indigenous people that were taken into the Caribbean off of the mainland,
Yes.
taken into Europe, taken into the Middle East, taken
Yes,
into
sir.
Africa from here.
Yes, sir.
You have, even in more recent times,
Right.
the Apaches, who were taken from the southwest of what was Mexico, and they were taken to Cuba to work the sugarcane fields there as slaves.
Mm.
They didn't know anything about that area.
Mm.
They were taken to different places. Apaches from the north fighting other Apaches from the south. Divided by language now. Divided by a line that was made by a European. I'm saying all of that to say that these terms, Latino, Latinx, Hispanic, Hispanic American, Latin American, these are names that are derived from an enemy who never tells us, why are you referring to yourself as this? We think we're so proud, we're so happy. Oh man, oh, I'm a Latin American. I got my flag. What flag? Latin is not a race.
No.
There's no Latin DNA.
Mm.
There are languages which are ethnic and cultural. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught us, as I close this point for myself, it's culture is just the outgrowth of knowledge at any period of time.
My God.
So because our knowledge is limited by what the enemy introduces and allows us to learn, then our perception and the culture that evolves from us is also limited, because we don't have a thorough knowledge of ourselves. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us in Message to the Black Man that gaining the knowledge of self makes us unite into a great unity.
That's right.
That's a
That's right.
attribute of knowing who you are. Whatever we want to call ourselves, if it does not spur us and make us unite into a great unity, then we are missing something key about what we think we know about ourselves. That's why today you have some Mexicans who will sell out other Mexicans. They'll misuse and call immigration on workers who don't have documents because they have quote unquote citizenship, they'll misuse other brothers and sisters from other parts of Latin America
Yes, sir.
because they're missing a key knowledge. They don't see themselves connected to these other people. They see themselves connected to their oppressor. And they take on the mind of their oppressor because they've been taught by their oppressor. You have it in the Black community. You have it in the Mexican community. You have it in every community because guess what? We're all fed by the same enemy, educated by the same enemy, and that same enemy would never give us this key knowledge, which would allow us to grow into a great unity. And this is the seed of what we see forming here under the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, is that knowledge, which doesn't limit us, it expands us into the whole of the mind of God so that we can properly identify who God's people are. And once we know who we are and how we're related to one another, how can I not unite with my brother just because he's from a different birthplace, just because his lineage comes from a different oppressor? That should not be a point of separation. It must be something that we understand in our narrative, that all of us have been victimized. But now today, while the healing is present, we no longer have to play the role of victim. We can play the role of one who is healed, who can go forth and help heal others.
Praise be to Allah. May I just add
Praise is
briefly,
due to
just
Allah.
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
sir. Yes, sir.
just to underscore the point, we're taught that the enemy functions like a skunk, and even when he's not on the scene, his thinking is present. And so I think it's important that we look at the thinking of the so-called Latino to be the one that was imposed by the Spaniard. Our Haitian brothers and sisters, unfortunately, many of our French-speaking brothers and sisters might have the thinking of the French, and our English-speaking brothers and sisters might have the thinking and the identity of the crown and the English. And then, of course, the American people, we have a mentality that's under the Caucasian of this country, and we
Right.
all looking at each other crazy and different.
Right.
And through the
Yeah.
eyes of the
Yeah.
competition between our former slave masters and their children, we were taught that our enslavement in this country began in 1555 under a man named John Hawkins.
Right.
The Spanish crown had been involved in the slave trade for decades prior to that, but it was the English entry into it that opened it up even broader. And so
Yes.
that point about Latino, when you have the Roman Latin Empire, slavery, you have the French in Haiti, and you have this race for England to get into it. It was John Hawkins that was fighting, and he got his power from the English to compete against the Spanish. And now, in this day and time, you have the descendant of those who were enslaved under the English-speaking slave master at odds with the ones who are the descendants of those enslaved under the Spanish-speaking slave master, and not
Right.
fully understanding that in addition to 64 hidden years of history, there's an entire history of Black enslavement in this hemisphere, and we're disconnected because we see each other through the eyes of our former slave masters.
Praise be to Allah. Student minister.
Praise be to Allah.
You are a student minister, Brother David. Student minister,
Brother,
Yes.
Captain
Just
David.
your
Yes.
Brother Minister, Student Minister Abel. That's 64 missing years of recorded history that they don't give access to us in textbooks. Student Minister Abel mentioned there was a slave trade of the indigenous in the area that we know as the eastern seaboard of the United States today. And that's what, in part, led to the depopulation of our indigenous family in the areas of Massachusetts and other places. That's how the so-called pilgrims got there, and they were able to successfully form a colony. And likewise with other parts of the eastern seaboard, people were being transported out. And likewise, our people in Africa were being transported out, and we were being divided all up into the Western Hemisphere. And so today we may have an auntie in Venezuela, or an uncle in Trinidad, or we may have cousins that are spread all throughout in Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic and Mexico and other places. And when we look at each other, we don't even know that we're biologically related to one another. So with this being said, exactly what does knowledge of self mean in this instance? Does it mean that we should try to become, or try to, make an effort to become that which we once were in our studies and history of what we where we were in at one time of our cultural past? If you could please explain, Student Minister Abel, I'm going to begin with you.
You know, the root word there in that phrase of knowledge of self, there's two, I think, aspects of that. There's the communal self and then the personal self.
Yes, sir.
And you really can't get into the personal without the communal. There's a historic aspect of it, and then there is a present future aspect of that. And I think the root of that, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when he's talking about the word knowledge, it's in Message to the Black Man. He says that, knowledge is the result of learning and is a force or energy that makes its bearer accomplish or overcome obstacles, barriers, and resistance. So to have knowledge of self, yet not be able to overcome the obstacles in our life, the barriers that the enemy has put up, or even the resistance we might feel from our loved ones. And that tells us that knowledge, quote unquote, that we're feeding from may not be what we think it is. The thing about knowledge of self, it's not just facts and information.
Right.
That's right.
Because we know a lot of people who can recite lessons and memorize, but are they knowledgeable?
Come on.
Well, all you have to do, are they able to overcome obstacles, barriers, and resistance? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, in fact, God means possessor of power and force.
Right.
See, if we are not containing power and force within us based on the knowledge we have, then what are we really?
Come on.
Anybody can, you can teach a parrot to repeat stuff.
All day long.
That don't make the parrot a god.
That's right.
I know I got a 2-year-old nephew. If you point at something and say it, he's going to say it. He don't know what he's saying. Knowledge is deeper than that. It's the result of learning and is a force or energy that makes its bearer accomplish or overcome obstacles, barriers, resistance. So when we're talking about the knowledge of the self, then the proof of that knowledge, whether it's right or wrong, and what it means to a people is when you give people that information, that knowledge, does it empower them? Are they able to change their reality? Is their mind transformed?
Come on, beloved.
If it's not, then that's not knowledge. And it's not the root knowledge that is needed. If all of us go back and study what tribe we came from, whether it was in Africa, the Caribbean, or Mesoamerica,
right?
You know one thing we would all have in common? Them tribes are gone.
That's right.
There are remnants. There might be some little person here or there who calls himself chief, but what power does he have to overcome an enemy who has him under his flag now? You might be speaking Nahuatl, or you might speak in the Taino languages. You might speak in some of the dialects that are amongst the Zulu and different tribes that are still around there. Go ahead and learn that language. Does that language infuse you with the power to overcome the obstacles that our people are facing?
Come on, beloved. Come on.
We cannot romanticize this and pretend like, oh, if we could just go back. We were at full strength when they came.
Right.
And they wiped right through us.
Right.
Because there was something missing that we had to go through because those tribes that we had fallen into, even though it's Allah that made us into tribes and families, we corrupted what Allah had made.
That's right.
And we started setting up ourselves as idols with one another. That's why you have so many hundreds and hundreds of tribes, all with their own dialect, can't communicate with one another now because each one wants to do their own thing.
Yes, sir.
And today, that's not the knowledge we need. The knowledge we need is the one that nobody wants, but it's the gift that keeps on giving.
That's right.
It's a knowledge which confines us to what is right and proper based off the purpose for us being created by our Creator.
Come on.
And it isn't just to do what we want to do. It's to submit our will to do His will, trusting in Him, having faith in Him, so that we can be what He created us to be. And we can never attain that, limiting ourselves or cutting ourselves off from the rest of our brothers and sisters, thinking we're better. People in Mexico thinking they're better than Guatemalans. People in the Dominican Republic thinking they're better than their Haitian brother and sister. People in Cuba thinking they're better than Puerto Rico because we have our independence. Really? Do we? The Mexican born in America thinking he's better than the Mexican born in Mexico. The black man in America thinking he's better than his Caribbean or African black brother and sister. This is the poison that all of us have because we don't have knowledge of self.
Come on, man.
Knowledge of self don't mean that you're an expert in the Jamaican dialect. It doesn't mean you're an expert in the cosmology and the sacred science of the Mesoamerican people. Yes, that's good. That's good. But that was here when the enemy came.
That's right.
Right.
And it wasn't enough then.
Wow.
Why would it be enough today?
Wow.
And I'm not saying that in any way to say that we shouldn't value it and that there's not something to learn from it.
Right.
But I'm saying that something was obviously missing from it because they came and conquered because we were disunited.
Come on.
And if knowledge of self brings us into unity,
come on,
then obviously we really didn't know who we were.
That's
Right.
right.
Do you think you're a Mexica? You think you're a Taino? You think you're a Zulu? You think all of these tribes? That's who you think you are? That's part of us, but it's not who we are.
come on.
We are from the originator. We are all God's children of the Most High God.
Teach that
We
thing,
have to accept it. And once we accept it, we have to grow into and be it. And without that knowledge, we'll constantly be victims because that knowledge and its absence amongst us is what has us divided.
Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
Student Captain David.
We were taught that the knowledge of self is the knowledge of God. We were also taught that for thousands of years, even before the Caucasian was on the planet, people worshiped their own ideas of God.
Right.
And so any knowledge of self that doesn't include the knowledge of God isn't knowledge at all. It's knowledge of a people disconnected from their originator and their origin in the planet. There are hints and signs in it. There are glimpses of greatness. The moon is an example of a glimpse of greatness. All right. And it's funny because the word Mexico, we were referencing it earlier. It actually means Mexico means from the navel of the moon.
Right.
So here you have an ancient people who take their lineage from the deportation of the moon. Whole nother conversation for a whole nother time. But you wouldn't have any sense of what that even means without the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Come
That's right.
on.
The knowledge of self is the knowledge of the reality of God in us. There's really only one life force. And so in the Holy Quran, where it says Allah will place a ruler in the earth, and the angels ask, why would you place that which would cause mischief in the shedding of blood? What did he say? I know what you know not. Well, to know it is the knowledge of self.
That's
To
right.
know that you have the forces of God in you, and if you don't know it, you have the force of Satan that has to be put in check, which means you have to fall into obedience to the will of God, which is your nature. All of us who are from the originator, are made, as it says in the Holy Quran in the 30th chapter, in the 30th verse, in the nature of God, the nature of uprightness, and that there's no altering Allah's creation. What was attempted to be done 6,600 years ago was an attempt to alter the creation. It was an experiment to see if evil was more powerful than good or good was more powerful than evil. And here
Wow.
we are in the most evil, wicked nation in the last 6,000 years, striving to be upright and submit to the will of God because we want the
Wow.
knowledge of God so that we can overcome this wicked world. There is no knowledge without the knowledge of God, and the knowledge of God is the knowledge of self.
Period. Praises be to
Man,
Allah.
all praise is due to Allah. Man, this is so good. If you are
Oh,
sitting watching this and you don't get somebody else and listen to this, shame on you. But thank Allah for technology that is recorded. Okay, on to the next question.
speaking of recording, y'all already know my memo of the recording.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Now, another word I want to bring to light in this conversation is the word progenitor. A progenitor is an ancestor or parent. A progenitor is defined as a person or thing from which a person is descended or originates. What, and I think this was alluded to earlier, but just let's make sure it's clear. What people or ethnicities are the progenitors of the Latino people and culture?
What
I'll
people's,
start with David.
I say this, culture is the outgrowth of a people's thinking. Here you have a people who have a culture that's rooted in the indigenous and the African people that were in this hemisphere, along with the Spaniard, and the Spaniard was ruled by the Moors for 700 years.
Okay.
So
Yes, sir.
there's Islam all in this identity. I, I,
Yes, sir.
I'm a Muslim. My identity, if I die in China, the earth is not going to reject me because I was born over here.
Mm.
But I love my people and I love my culture. But I have to understand where my culture comes from. I'll give an example. In the Puerto Rican community, there are festivals and they wear masks in some of these festivals. People love these masks, all right? They're called vejigante masks. The vejigante mask comes from a thing that they did in Spain when they would do their festivals for their saints in the Catholic Church that represented them being at war with the Moors.
Right.
And so they would wear masks that they thought were ugly. But in Puerto Rico, these are the most beautiful representations of the joy and resistance of Puerto Rican people, particularly those of African descent. And they've become a symbol of pride and resistance. Most Puerto Ricans don't know that they also represent Muslims, and that the spirit of resistance and rebellion in the people comes from those who had Islam. So I think that's one aspect when we talk about progenitors and where cultures come from. Ultimately, all of us have God at our root if we are from the original people. And
Yes.
we've been made into various shades and whatnot. And you can't really tell until you see how we interact with each other. But any of us who have interacted with our people from Latin America know you're dealing with the people of God who have God in them. And that can be cultivated and brought out of us with right knowledge and right treatment. And so there's something about being of the essence of the originator. And many times we talk a lot about having a common enemy, but we don't talk enough about having a common origin in God as the root.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
for those who are watching that don't understand, we don't believe in God as a mystery. God
Talk
is a
that
man,
talk.
all
Talk
right?
black.
And the originator made himself a black man. And so every member of the human family who is of the originator can trace their root from there. So he is the progenitor of us. And if we properly understand, we can be like our father.
Mm.
Yes, sir. Brother Abel.
Yeah, and just if we're talking about from a cultural standpoint,
Wow.
then you're talking about in the last really 500 years now,
Right.
600
Yes,
years.
sir. Yes, sir.
Then that is limited because all of these cultures that we have now have infused within them the concept of white supremacy,
Right.
Wow.
whether it's in Africa or here.
That's right.
If you're talking about it, you can't go anywhere where we're not speaking the language of Europe and Europeans.
That's right.
Wow. Wow.
Not amongst, even today, when you might have people who speak Mandarin or these other languages in Asia, but when it comes to business and what, they learn the language of the Europeans to be able
Yeah,
to speak it.
Sir.
yeah, that's
And
true.
language imprints itself and the thinking of the people and a way of thinking on the minds of people. So brother David mentioned it earlier when he was talking about how we have the thinking of Englishmen, thinking of Frenchmen. How? In their language.
Right.
It's in their language. The language is the sound of an idea. And if at the root of the idea is still the mind of white supremacy, then that very language is rooted in white supremacy. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad writes that in the hereafter, in the new world to come, nothing of English would be allowed in there.
Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing of English.
Uh-oh.
That's how much corrupt that language is.
Right.
So we have to understand then, you can be proud that we speak French or Spanish or whatnot, I guess. But is that all of the languages belong to us because we're the root of all of them? But there's something that we want to make sure we don't get lost in and take so much pride and not recognize it. This is a language that I'm speaking because my great ancestors were raped.
That's right.
This is a language that I'm speaking. These are clothes that I'm wearing because my great ancestors were murdered.
Yes, sir.
This is the way we look, the color, the features, because somebody came and imposed their will on our people.
Yes, sir.
And we can never lose sight of that. Most of us are ignorant of that. We like to romanticize it and make it seem like, oh, maybe great grandpa from Portugal fell in love with the slave girl. No. He raped the slave girl.
Wow. Yeah.
And what they did in Latin America,
Teach.
which was different from North America,
That's right.
Central and South America, the church stepped in and said, man, all of these church people, we can't excommunicate them for raping and having these babies. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to make it right. We're going to baptize all these children. And now these people are married to one another.
My God.
So that's how they made it right in Latin America. So they infused us into this lifestyle, but you can see that the knowledge was absent because we don't see ourselves properly. In
Right.
North America, they did something different. They made it very clear color line wise who was allowed to be part of the society and who wasn't. In Latin America, they brought forth the concept that since you're married now and you have a lighter child, you got to make sure your lighter child marries an even lighter child so the next generation will be
Right.
lighter and you can advance in the society.
That's
Go
right.
ahead. Go ahead.
This is what's rooted in this is the idea of those who pro-generated this culture.
Come on.
That's why when you have people coming from Latin America, they think they can fit in. They're like, yeah, I'm lighter than all of these darker people until they start to talk and they hear the accent.
Come on, beloved.
Or they get here and they realize, oh no, white people make it very clear to you, you ain't that white.
That's right.
Right.
I'm saying it in a light way, but it's
Sure.
really
It's real.
serious
Sure,
because
that's real.
this is
Yeah.
the thinking that has been infused, because at the root of the mixture, at the root of the culture, at the root of allowing or disallowing us in is an idea that whether you're mixed a little, mixed a lot, separated by color, separated by variations and degrees of color, none of you will ever be equal to the origin of this, which is Caucasian people.
Mm, mm, mm.
They even put Caucasians born in Europe over Caucasians born in the New World.
Mm, mm, mm.
That's right.
They wanted it clear. You're never gonna be good enough. And that's the dirty, hidden little lie underneath everything that our people do, because they don't know who they really are. We were lied to about what we were doing and the type of civilization we had here because we don't know the root of it. We were conquered. It hurts to say it. We were enslaved. That's reality. It happened. But once you know that God is real, not a mystery, not a spook,
Yeah.
Right.
then you got to ask some real questions. Why would God permit it? And when you realize that the blessing that our people suffered through to attain was with it, we were given the opportunity to be of the foremost.
That's right.
We were those who were allowed to hear first the reality of God so that we could change the condition, not just in a selfish way for our people, not just for Mexicans, not just for Puerto Ricans, not just for Native people. We want to change the earth for every human being.
Yeah.
That's our heart. That's what we've been given by God.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because the devil could not
That's right.
contaminate our heart and spirit.
That's right.
So we have to now be corrected and get a new progenitor.
That's right.
That's right.
He makes all things new. Satan came and made something new out of us, but it was limited. Now God has come to make us into something new that will never be sullied or contaminated again.
Yeah.
But we have to accept it, the good and the bad,
Yes.
the highs and the lows, the reality of it. And we've been given that blessing, dear brother. So the Caucasians originated or progenerated something that was limited because it was based on falsehood. What God has given us is based on truth and reality. And so if we accept it, and even if we don't accept it, God's will is going to be done anyway. So we might as well accept it and get on board.
That's
We'll
right.
be able to be at the forefront of helping ourselves, our people, and all people
Right.
to come into unity and to overcome the wiles of Satan.
Beautiful.
Thank you, brothers.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Okay, so I have a question and an actual please, a plead. Can we make this a part two?
Please.
And if your schedules allow, I definitely want to make this a part two because we have so many other questions. I promise you that we want to ask, and I know for a fact that first of all, y'all knocking our questions off the park. I mean, y'all just
Right.
we're like, okay, he done that question going, that question is going. But we have more questions. But it's only by the divine mission and permission of Allah that you are doing this because it's so beautiful. I was like, oh, he answered my question. I don't have to answer that question anymore. But we definitely want to do a part two because we definitely have more questions. So we're asking for you to please, if you can come back for a part two, I would greatly appreciate it.
Putting you on the spot.
Yes.
Yes,
You're not going to reject us on live TV.
It's y'all platform. Y'all have it back.
This is your platform too, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, praise be to Allah.
So we're going to ask the last
This is
question.
so good.
Yeah, it is.
It really is. Yeah.
But we're going to ask the last question, and then we're going to definitely have to do a part two of this.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. All right. So this is for both of you all. And Brother David, we'll start with you. So in 2005, comments on Mexican immigrants and alliance in blacks. In 2005, Minister Farrakhan said that Mexican President Vicente Fox was right in stating that immigrants take jobs, quote, that not even blacks want, end quote, right? So Minister Farrakhan went on further to explain that, people don't want the farms. They don't want to pick fruit because, quote, and picked enough cotton, end quote. He also advocated for the Black and Latino people to form an alliance to resolve differences and animosity between the two communities, according to the NBC News. Can you please expound on this statement from the minister?
Thank you for asking me that question. He actually made that statement in Milwaukee, so I remember that. And he said we so sensitive because he said something that was the truth.
It
Right,
is the
right.
truth.
Right.
We know that they treat black labor in this country as undesirable because there's elements of organizing and there's a level of I don't want to do this certain type of work and I don't want to be mistreated on the job. You have a different disposition to a people who come into this country and have much less social agency or a feeling that they could stand up for themselves. And so they're much
Mhm.
easier to exploit. And they will
Right,
pit the two communities against each other. That's one of the reasons that the enemy is always switching up the language and the label every few years, because he
right.
wants to divide and create a buffer so that we can fight each other and not recognize that we're being abused by the same enemy. But to the truth of the statement, you know, our enduring of suffering in this country has made it very difficult to endure a disrespectful and abusive work environment that no
Mhm.
human being should have to toil under. And because of 4 centuries of having done it in this nation, we ran from the farm and not to the farm. But we're at a time now
Mhm.
where the importance of not only the labor, but the agribusiness is going to be
Yes.
so critical because now we're entering a
Mhm.
time of famine.
Yes,
And
Yes.
sir.
so there has to be some measure of understanding that the hereafter is not the end of work, it's the beginning of work.
That's right.
And so
Yes.
That's
we have
right.
to have a
Yes.
work disposition. There's another thing. We struggle to find a way to do for self. We think do for self means do by ourselves.
Come
Yeah.
on.
No, 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 no,
But
no. Yeah.
but
Mm.
we see
Come
in
on.
our so-called Latino brothers and sisters a community that knows how to put self as a
Mhm.
collective,
Right.
Mhm.
because it's a collective victory, because not one can survive without depending on the other.
That's
And
right.
Mhm.
so they work together in a collective manner. We were taught to
Yes,
study the operations of our oppressor so that we could learn how to work together in a collective manner
yes.
without making excuses for failure. One of the excuses we're making is blaming another people for coming
Mm.
and taking jobs we don't want, or for creating labor opportunities, for taking labor opportunities that we have not fought to create for ourselves. And in truth, many of us struggle in creating collaboration and cooperative efforts and keeping up the work ethic with a people who, when they start on the first day, don't want to be the boss. All right.
Mm.
There's a lot of
Mhm.
truth in there, a lot of pain in that, a lot of reality in
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
But we got to
Yes.
wake up to the reality about why we have been made to not want to do for self.
Mm.
Mhm.
Mhm. My God.
And,
Brother
and I would just
Abel.
close and add this to it. When we're looking at two different minds with two different needs, you're looking at Black people in America that were completely stripped of all knowledge of themselves, their identity, on land that is not their own, in a whole hemisphere that they weren't familiar with.
Mhm.
And you're also looking at then people who are coming here. Look at the difference. Black people didn't have any desire to be here, forced here. People immigrating from Latin America, they don't necessarily want to be here, but circumstances in their homeland compel them, and they see this as a potential for them to better the condition of their families and their individually.
Yes, sir.
But they understand it, and it's a willful desire. It's not an easy trip to get here,
Right.
but the presence of the desire to better your family is there, and it propels them forward. It's a sense of unity, family unity. They meet here, a Black brother who's been robbed of the sense of family that comes from the knowledge of self, which creates unity. The Mexican brother, the Venezuelan brother who arrives here, the brother and sister from all over Central and South America, they have a desire in their mind. They are coming here saying, man, back home, I can make 15 cents an hour. Here, illegally, I can make $10 an hour. Or even if it's $5 an hour.
Yeah.
I can send that all home. That's weeks of work back home. But then they get introduced to the American way of life and they start saying, maybe I'll bring my family here versus going back. Although now there's a big movement of us going back home.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
And the scriptures tell us that there would come a time where each one would return to his own vine and tree.
That's right.
We've come here and gained knowledge. Black, brown, red, yellow. But we don't know what to do with it because we don't know who we are. So all we keep trying to do is figure out, how do I plug into this man's system? How do I advance for myself and my family? All right, fine. We start our own companies. We sell it to them. We start a network. We start publications. We start factories. We start companies producing this and that, importing this and that. And next thing we know, we sell it to the highest bidder. And we walk away with money. But we're no longer producers anymore. We start by coming here and saying, oh man, they like tortillas. My dad has a corn field back home. I'll sign a contract with some corporation. Now they own my dad's land.
Right.
And now my dad can't afford to feed his family anymore. So I got to stay here at a job. I'm not even the CEO anymore. I'm just working someplace. All of this causes tension internally, all because our motives are distracted, because we come with a good motive many times. I'm taking care of my family, but we get distracted, and we're easily distracted because at the root, we're still missing the knowledge of God and the knowledge of ourselves. And so we are easily preyed upon by this enemy who knows our desire. He knows we want better for our people, but we're limited in our understanding of how their system works.
That's right.
And because of that, we're used for tools and slaves.
That's right.
Some tools they pay a lot of money for.
Right.
Still a tool. Some slaves get paid today. Still a slave.
That's right.
And you can see it in the condition overall of the Black and the Latino community. Because no single human being can rise above the condition of their people.
That's right.
Right.
So we got a few people with a lot of money. That doesn't help the young brothers and sisters out there in the street, or the middle-aged man who's homeless that you see, the alcoholic because of the stress of life, the drug addict because he doesn't know what to do. All of our communities are suffering from that, which is proof that we're missing not just something, but the thing that would rectify our community. And that is this knowledge that God gave to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for you and I, that is being taught to us by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So the minister's words, as a man of truth, he recognized the truth in the statements of President Fox at that time in Mexico.
Yes, sir.
Why couldn't we recognize it as people? Because we're missing the truth about ourselves. And once you're blind to yourself, you can't properly see and relate to anything else around you because your perception is skewed. Because your perception of yourself is skewed. So it makes you insecure and sensitive to things that you have an emotional reaction to because you're not really secure in who you are. Because once you know God and know you're of God and from God and connected to God and a God, it's easy to accept truth. Yeah, that's rough, but it's true.
It is
That's
the truth.
all it is.
That's right.
Allah has to give us the truth so that we can really be ourselves. What we are experiencing in the world today is the manipulation of our emotions and sensitivities because we've rejected the truth. So we're manipulated by political parties. We're manipulated by social media. We're manipulated by the media. And we're made to run in this direction, run in that direction, protest, don't protest, join this, vote for this one, do that, let's do this. None of it addresses or heals what is put us in this condition. And that is the knowledge of ourselves, which is also the knowledge of God. So we thank Allah that he's given us somebody who has the courage and love to speak the truth regardless to whom or what, and to give us an opportunity to see what truth in a human being looks like, who's unafraid to speak that truth. And if we could accept that truth, we would have the courage to reject all of the rampant lies and the misguidance of these people who don't really care anything for us.
That's right.
But because they feign concern for us and we don't have the truth of ourselves, then we can't tell the lie and discern it from the truth. And that's why this is so critical, this conversation. It's not about color, it's not about culture. It's about truth. And whether we like it or not, black, brown, red, yellow, or white, the truth is what will set us free, free to be ourselves, not learning what our DNA samples that we send to the enemy tell us what tribe we're from. That's not what's going to free us.
Come on.
The truth of God in ourselves is what will free us from this enemy, their way, and their system of things.
That's right.
All right, everyone. Look, everyone who has heard this teaching, can you please raise your hand if you know that this teaching is good and true for our people?
I want to register. I want my letter.
Praises be to Allah. Oh my God. So we're gonna definitely have a part 2 of this. And I don't know if you all know about StreamYard. If we go over 2 hours, it will not allow us to rebroadcast this. And this is definitely going in the archives. So
yes, definitely.
so I definitely want to look. I'm gonna wrap it up.
We thank you very humbly. We thank you.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
So much. Oh my God.
much
So
knowledge.
very much.
Yes.
Captain David.
Eye-opening.
Oh
Yes.
man. Listen, Brother Tony, I am going to turn the floor over to you.
All praise due to Allah. Beloved family, if you have benefited from this program here tonight, if you have enjoyed past broadcasts and believe that this message should go out to our people, of course you could share, but help us tonight to continue these programs so that we could continue expansion, continue doing the work of saving lives. A donation to this Cash App, 7th Region Coalition 29. It does not have to be a large donation, although we will not reject a large donation if you decide to do so. But any little amount or large amount, we're just going to take the whatever is sent and we're going to put it to work. And we thank you. We thank you. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. May Allah continue to bless you all and your families.
All right. Praises be to Allah. Well, Brother Tony, this was an excellent show. I thank my sister for blessing us. You know, she's all she's been around the world and and she's back again. And to bless us on and you know, inshallah we'll be seeing her soon. But I just want to thank you all again for this wonderful platform. And I learned so much.
Yes.
And knowledge is definitely power. And I feel so energetic with power of what I have learned, what has been taught. And I mean, people are tuning in and like, I mean, I never had so much of an audience where they are more listening to this particular show versus commenting on the show.
Right.
So it was definitely a learning and educational experience that we experienced. I can definitely speak for myself, and I want you all to um, just let you know that we love you, we adore you, and again, look,
Love
see,
you all too.
Yes,
and
praise
look,
be to Allah.
and I please, this is your platform as well. You can use it as you must, and as you may. And again, Brother Tony, I'm gonna turn it over to you to close it out.
Praise be to Allah. Brother Jorge, thank you for putting 5 on it. Just don't sing the rest of the song, please.
Thank you. I'm on it. Yeah.
Praise be to Allah. Beloved family, please tune in next week. I'm not going to say the same bat time and bat channel. We're not bats. But may Allah continue to bless you all and your family. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa
Walaikum
alaikum
salam.
salam.